So I wanted to just start off the video before we actually get into it with a couple of bits that you're going to need for it. So I used a small ratchet, a screwdriver, and then some assorted bits, which comprised of a T20, T25, T30, and I used a T40, but I used that in a socket set. You might be able to get away without it. I used a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch drive socket and ratchet to do that. That was for the rear grab rail on the back. Other things that you'll need: a Phillips head if you're planning to remove the battery at all, side cutters if you're planning to do any cabling, the same as I did, long nose pliers to get the pesky clips off for the cabling ways that you'll come to realise, and a persuader, which I used a rubber mallet just for certain bits. It just makes your life a bit easier. Always feel like your hand's going to go through the panel as you start beating it. But yeah, other than that, this is reverse engineering it. I got everything apart, then realised that actually it's quite a good idea to, if you get to the same point as me, just a bit of guidance into getting it back in, and you'll see it wasn't flawless. There are certain bits that I found at the end that I had to go back and sort. But yeah, so please, I hope you enjoy the video. Any other issues with bikes, leave a comment and I'll see if I can get around to having a look at it and doing another video on it. Thank you. Not sure what I've actually done. So had a 06 GS 1200, spec'd it into an adventure, done loads of rallies on it, bits like that. It's just become too unreliable. Still alright, I'll get it fixed for a weekend, but I ended up flooding the engine and severely breaking it. So my wife and I decided to get something more commuter friendly, and I went for a BMW C400GT, which I'll do another video on because it was a tragic fail. So now I've got a C400GT, but all of my dash cam and quad lock and everything like that I need to wire, so I want to wire it properly. As such, the bike is currently in pieces, so that I can do a proper installation and do it once and do it right. Looking online, looking in manuals, looking on Haynes, there are next to no instructions about removing bodywork panels, about, you know, general wiring diagrams, things like that. Luckily I've got the quad lock auto USB and the dash cam that I bought, which was a Vistos, that has got a parking alarm style video recording, so if it gets knocked it will start recording, so it can keep track of it all. So I'm going to mount it all on the top of the dash. I've ordered off of Amazon like a little accessory bar, which I'm assuming is a rip-off of what BMW use for their navigation installation. As such, I thought I'd do a video on sort of reverse engineering how to take all the bodywork paneling off. I've got it down pretty much to everything except for the tail light and the seat. The tail light will be easy enough to take off, but I don't need to. So you've got a bolt there. These are all T25s except for these big bad boys, which are a T30. So, you know, well done BMW for universalising the screws a little bit more. And of course I've locked it, haven't I? Where are you? Need the key. Apologies for the video quality, this is my first video and I don't have any setup or anything. I just thought that this would be good for everyone. Come on, there we go, that should do it. There we go. So as you can see under here, everything is out. The only bodywork paneling not removed is things like the mud guards, the rear tail light, the license plate holder and the fuel cap cover. Headlights are still in and everything, so Just try and do this with one hand. Rest it back down. So yeah, I'm going to install the cabling now. I'll show you how it looks afterwards. I don't have the bar yet, so I'm sort of getting the cabling ready. And then after that, I'll show you all the cabling all the way through, and then I'll start reverse engineering the panels back on, so hopefully that should help anyone that needs to take it off. I'll show you this as well as we put it back in, that you basically need to take a lot of the fairings off to actually get to fill up this coolant tank. So I may well top that up a little bit, because as you see, it's on the minimum. I mean, this has only done less than 100 miles, so it hasn't had its first service yet. Everything's still running in. So yeah, see you shortly. Okay, so everything's wired in. I ended up having to take the centre out of the bike. So I've got everything wired in, ready to go. It just needs the finishing touches. Once the rear bracket goes back on, had to sort of jerry rig this a little bit. I've got these here ready to go for the quad lock and the mount on the top here, and I've got the camera here at the front ready to mount once I get the plastics back on. So yeah, again, this is going to be working in reverse. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is get the battery back in, wired up, then we can put this front housing back on. So what I'll do is I'll try and video that as I go, but no promises. Alright, just for reference, this is the original, like I say, because it's a brand new bike. These are BMW's own brand, but Exide Technologies, and they are a 12 volt, obviously, an 8 amp hour. The cold cranking amps at -10 is 80 amps. So, right, let's get this back in. Go. Right, now I've just got to wire all the accessories and the clamps back on. Oh, before we do that, we can get this top section back on. There goes your fuse carrier. And then this bit was a royal pain in the ass. Goes back on there. Slides in, 4 clips, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Clips back on. Alright, and then your OBD connector clips into here, like that. This is actually one of the last bits to go on, being honest. Not sure what it is, but you've got your fuse clip on there and stuff to take your fuses out. A connector to, I'm not sure what, but then also what looks like a USB, but it's molded case into it. So right, move that to one side. So I like to put my accessories under the main bolts. Let's take these out. One. Two. What's I can do? We can do this one first time. See that 30 seconds. All the lights first. So the 3 accessories here, I've got piece lighting, quad lock, and my camera. There's all the furnace, I think. Okay, switch it live. Make sure it lays on film. Spin you around. Sorry. Go off the light first contact. There we go, that on. Quad lock, and a sham. A little bit of straight on that. Come on. There we go. In you go. Nope, no, no, okay. Split up a little bit. that's it. That's on. Pretty good contact. So let's tidy all of this up. I want this on show because that one can be buried to the back. So we don't want to take this out because that can go around there. That one can pop to the back there. And then my fuse is available there from that one. So move that side. OBD back in. It's just my quad lock, which is going to sit at the front anyway. So screw onto that. Screw onto that, which is going to go that way. And this one can go slightly outward. And then onto the neutral. Try not to get away the camera too much. Yes, good. Good. Right, got it. That was ridiculous. Okay, so let's get the quad lock plugged in. That's the final piece of the jigsaw then. That can get tucked away there. Not really happy how messy this is, but I don't really have a choice at the moment. Okay. Let's set that to auto. And again, this can be tucked away in here, or we can get back to it if we need it. Okay. Right, tucked away. So now I'm going to get all of the back trim section back on, because that's what I took off last. And also this front section on the front housing. So I'll show you as I go. So first section to go back on, the top cockpit section. So this goes on. These two clips at the back, put it up the right way so that we can look at it properly. So we've got these two holes for these two clips, and then after that we've got two mounting screws here and here, and they go down into that screw there, behind that, and that screw there. So let's get it back on. Right, so all we've got left to do are these two. So there's one. Again, all T25s. Lock across the thread. Again, in lieu of actual manufacturer's information, I'm not Loctiting because I haven't seen any Loctite on these. It's at your own discretion really. I Loctite everything on the R1200, but this is a 350 single cylinder, so it's not really going to be an issue with vibration. There we go, front dash back on. Cool. Sorry, scrap that. You also have these two screws on the back of the screen to bolt in. So the next bit to put in is the front centre. You have to remember a couple of things here. There are quite a few connectors. You've got 1, 2, 3 down the bottom. And I believe that that's it. 5, sorry, 4 even. 4 there. So this clicks in all into place, and then after you've clicked it all in, it is a case of lots and lots of screws done up. So I'll show you one side and then the other. So we've got a couple of screws to do up here. We've got one here, one here, got one here, and then in the back of each of these we have them and the two at the top. Right, so the next part to install is these two undercasing covers on the bottom of the handlebars. They click in together in the centre here, and then on the left side you have a bolt here, and you have another bolt here, and vice versa with this side. So the next bit to go on will be this, which the centre section doesn't come out, it's just clipped in, so you can remove that if you need to for whatever reason. Probably looks like you could adjust your handlebar angle by pulling that off. Obviously just be careful, the front look, it looks like you're better off pulling the back out on those two spring clips. So once on, you've got bolt, 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 and that should be it. So I'll show you once it's on. So that's the yoke cover reinstalled. Just remember that there's clip here, same on this side, and there's also a plastic clip underneath here, and the same on this side. So when you're pushing it down, just make sure you pinch those points and hear it click, nice positive click into there. So the next bit will be this back section. So we'll get these installed and then slowly work our way forward until we are completed up to the front footrest. After that we can then reinstall the front, so I'll get one of these sides in, get the back panels in first and show you as I do them. So I've just spent 10 minutes trying to remember which way around these go. So they look like they curve up at the back. In fact they don't. They go this way around with this funnel pointing down towards the front like this. And in this you've got one of these sections here that has one of the push rivet screws into it, and then a screw there and another screw here. So they end up sitting just flush on the back there. So again, as we said at the start, in the interest of reverse engineering this, so I've put this on just to show which way around this goes, and it will go back on both sides. But as you can see, it covers this main screw. So for actually now thinking about it, this went on after I put on the under trim section of this front, then this went on, and then you work back again that way. So in terms of taking off, you take all of the fascia plates off up to there, then you remove that section and remove all the body panelling going down, because this covers and clips into place this section, and this section covers and clips into place that section. So we'll take this off, we'll move back down to this front section, we'll get the cover plates on and the footrest covers and work our way back up, and then go back and do all the trims. So this is the section, goes all the way along this side. So this is going to be a pain in the ass to get back on, but you've got the footrests as guides, which is good. You just need to remember where all the clips are. So looking from the inside of the bike out, got a screw at the front there, we've got a couple of retaining screws through. This looks like a push clip for the outer panel. A couple of screws down the bottom. So down the centre you've got 1, 2 clips. That's it along the top. From memory, I don't think there were any along the bottom. No, so the only 2 clips you need to remember to get clipped in are these 2 clips in the centre panel. The easiest way to remember that is it is above this textured section in the centre between this ridge at the back and this corner at the front. There's your first one, there's your second one. Also remember to take these 3 screws out, prior to installing. I've only put them back in so that I don't lose them, but they are main bolting screws for this panel. It's worth noting at this point that once you take the hydraulic arm off of the bucket at the bottom, whack something across like I have here with a climbing sling just to hold and retain that, because it fell on me a couple of times. Once the screws are all back in on this, we can start replacing the 3 rubber foot inserts. These are all literally just push fit into the holes that you'll see. So now we can put this back section back in, because as you can see now, that covers over that. So then you've got that screw there to put in. So that's the front installation panel. That's the biggest panel you're going to put in. Hopefully that, it was a bit fast, but that last video helped just see the route I was taking with it. Yeah, so I'll get this in, and then that's one side semi-complete. Get the other side done, which I'm not going to video because it's pointless. It's the same thing until we get to the exterior panels when we start installing this key lock and bits. So then we'll do the trims afterwards. So next trim panel, these are both on both sides. So on this one you've got one screw here, which is just here, and to get to, obviously this is the other side, but you have to get under there to that screw. So you can fit a screwdriver in, so it's not a problem. Again, lots of clips on this one, so make sure they all line up. Don't be freaked out by this little tab. It's nothing, it just goes in that guide hole there, which is a dead hole. Doesn't actually do anything. So we'll clip this one in, then we'll clip the back section on, and then we'll do the same on the other side, which will then enable us to put the back bracket on, and then we can start putting the front section on round there, round the bottom, and then doing the top section. So back left quarter panel, again, if you're struggling to get these the right way around without teaching you to suck eggs, obviously that's going to go there. It can't go that way because that would be upside down. Easy enough. Got one screw there which goes through this hole here, the back quarter. Multiple clips again, don't worry about this, it just goes in a dead hole. It's just I think it's just to line it up properly. But yeah, clips along the top to clip into these sections. They don't click as such, they just line up. And then you've got a couple of screws under the bottom, one there, and the other one. It goes in quite deep actually. Oh, sorry, that's the retaining screw for the bottom bucket. So we'll click that into place as we go, and that'll be one of the next things to go in. So yeah, let's clip it in and see what it looks like. Those front panels are all on there nicely. Again, just be very careful as you click these in. And something I forgot to mention with all these clips going on here, when you're removing them, obviously be very delicate, but you've got to give some force to it. I found a big flathead screwdriver, and then all I did was a lot of people say put tissue in, but it's quite thick and bulky and you struggle to get in some of the gaps on this. So get yourself a nitrile glove, rip a finger off, tape it over the end of it. It seems to work pretty well, and you can double it up if you're extra worried, but these are quite thick, heavy duty gloves, so they don't tend to rip that easily. So yeah, just food for thought, because obviously, like I said, this is a reverse engineering video. We're not taking it out, we're reinstalling, so apologies again, you have to watch this in reverse if you're taking it out, but hopefully it will help you get unstuck if you do take it all apart and can't get it back together. Right, let's get this back quarter in. Right hand side. Only difference on this side is we have the, which no one tells you about when you pick it up, there's an optional key section at the back here to enable you to unlock this, because without the lockbox you do sort of sit there and they give you a flip out key and you think, well, what is the point in that? It's all keyless entry now. Obviously with the top box, great, because you've got the key coded to it, but it also is an emergency to unlock this if you don't want to have to turn the bike on, or the battery's dead and you need to get into it for whatever reason. So BMW doing what BMW love doing best. It is a lot better on this bike than the old GS's, but you need to swap out your size again for this screw. So this is going to be a T20 instead of the T25 we've been using on everything else. So I'll take these off quick, get it on, and do a quick show of that installed. So just worth noting on this, there's a little clip there. There's also a little clip there. They have to seat into these. So this is very fiddly because you've got to get this right in place because you don't have a lot of play in it. So I'm not going to be able to video this, otherwise I would. Right, there we go. So as you can see, keyholes in the bottom, it's all clipped into the back, but when you're taking this panel off, just bear in mind that's as much give as you've got before you start yanking on the electrical cable and the actual pull cable. Just be careful as you're taking that off. There we have it. The booty is on, the sides are on, so I think we'll put the bucket in next, and then that should be the back done. Sorry, we'll put the bucket in, then we'll put the back bracket on. I prefer doing it that way because otherwise you're trying to manoeuvre the bucket out. It's not too hard, but I just find it easier, and if we've got everything open anyway, then we'll move back round to the front and get that sorted. Okay, so next part, we're going to put the bucket back in with the flex case. Relatively straightforward. You got two bolts at the front here. You've got these two bolts for the arm, which we'll have to put back in. These are both back in, remember them for the side trims. And then we've got the four main brackets at the back. But I'll go through as I'm putting it back together, or after I put it back together, so we can see exactly where all of the bolts. So we've got these two at the back here as well. Then we can hook this rack back up and get this camera finally installed. So I managed to get the part in the meantime as well, which is semi why this entire thing has been taken apart for, all for that bracket, so that I can get all the cabling in ready for it. So we'll get that tightened up and in place as we put the front back on. Alright. One thing to note before putting this bucket back in, we have a clip here that clips onto the bottom of it, and this also clicks in to allow the computer to recognise whether or not the flex case is down, so you can start the engine or not. The other thing to note is that you have to release the flex case to then lever it in one way, put it back, and then rest it down. So the whole motion, you drop the flex case, tilt it that way, push it in, drop the front, slot that in, and then push the back down, and then you can pull the flex case back up. So at the front here, either side, we have the push fit style screw-ins. They go just inside here. And then we have the bar to come down. Let's release the strap now. Trust me, strap this back because it'll knock you on the head more times than you can count. If you move the toolkit across, it will hold that bar up quite nicely, stop that falling down. So that's going to come down back into there. That is these bolts, T35s I think, from memory, not the 25s, or T40s. Let's double check. Got a T30, that fits perfectly in it, T30. So they go into there, and then you have two screws at the back here, and a screw this side, and then that is it. That is not it. I found out later on, once everything's back together, there's also, when you remember us putting the side panels on the back quarters, there are the two screws at the bottom there that screw into the underside of the bucket, and at the front where the hinge is for the seat, where it levers and hinges, there are two bolts either side of that going horizontally outwards from the inside centre of the bike. Just remembering now that I'm pretty sure the backrest bracket has to go in first, so I'm just going to double check that, so in the next section I may have to take this back out, bear with me. Okay, yes, so that bit does go in first. Not the end of the world. Push the flex case down and this will lift up with the amount of cable allowance you have from that cabling in there and the clip. See the cable down the bottom there's gone tight. And then from there you've got these. I'm using a socket. These bolts are T40s. So yeah, pop them in, make sure you do it diagonal as you tighten them up, so get them all hand tight, give them all a slight turn, and then give them a proper tighten. I always go as tight as I can, just with 2 fingers and a thumb on the wrench, and then a quarter turn, and that's it. Again, this is in lieu of not having any manufacturer's guidance on any of this. So yeah, we'll get that in and then we'll finish off putting the bucket in. Okay, so that's all back in, nice and tight, just the 4 screws. Bucket's been dropped back in, roughly. So I'll get that pushed down and bolted in, show you the final bolts in it, and then we'll move back onto the front, because that's the back end pretty much done. This is looking a little bit short, so I'm going to try and pull some of that through before I put the bucket down. And then get that stuck on, and that's the rear view done, ready to go. Happy days. Doesn't look too bad at all. Alright, on to the next bit. Okay, so rear bucket's back in, all working fine. It's pushing down alright. It's got the clearance that it needs. It's pulling back up and locking in okay. Pulled some more cable through, so that's now sitting on its marks, which is good. Got those front bolts in, which are the push fit style. 2 screws in there, screw in there, and then the 2 screws at the back here. So that's that. So yeah, I don't really take anything out of here because you'll, like me, inevitably forget it. And that is the back seat back on, all done. So next we need to get this trim on under here. Again, there's quite a few cables to keep out of the way and stuff. Then I'll start hooking this front section back up here, and then we can start doing the panelling back down the side, which will leave the final bit to do the screen, the new bracket, and this section here. This I need to try and have a think about, because if you look on this bit, we'll get to it in a bit, but you've got your fuse puller there, which is for your fuse box up the top here. So you would assume that that stays accessible. However, I Cannot remember which way out I took it and which way back in it goes. These clips don't seem to match anything particularly, so we'll have to see what I've done there. I'm not sure if I've rammed all of these electronics into this gap and this is meant to push back into it, which is my gut feeling, so we'll see when it comes to it. But yeah, for now everything's looking pretty good. We can get rid of that now. Yeah, I'll have a quick tidy up and then start doing the front panelling. This under section here, which is currently sitting there, and it is an absolute pig. You go from the right hand side, you shuffle it in, need to have a look at the back of it, see what clips we've got, and then start bolting it back together. I'm gonna have a roundup of all my screws though, because as I've gone along, there's screws over there, screws on the foot stand, screws on the right hand side. I've just been robbing Peter to pay Paul at the moment, to try and get it all fixed back together. Right, let's give it a go. So, front panel. As discussed earlier, we go from the other side of the bike and hook it under the wheel and then up. That's how it came out, so best to stick with that. We have cabling clips on this side, all the way along there. That is for the right hand indicator. We have the same on this side. Not sure. Oh, that is one of the cable clip supports that we had on the rear a second ago, so it's the clips on the cable pushes on. Down the left hand side we have a retaining piece, another retaining piece. They will just help guide the other brackets back on, and then we have some push fits here, some more push fits down the bottom here. I'm pretty sure one of these holes, I can't remember which way around it is, same on both sides. One screw goes through and attaches this panel to one of the side panels that goes on afterwards. The other one is a push fit onto the bodywork. Can't remember which way around, but we'll soon find out. And then we have two more screws down there, which will obviously be under there. And we have two push fits. So when you are pulling this out, once you've got all the screws and the push fits out, remember, careful of the cable. These are pretty good. You can just sort of like grab the cable and lever it out. I just used a pair of long nose pliers, gripped it gently and just wiggled it out. And you have to pull forward to get these two clips out, otherwise you're going to snap something. These are just plastic. Clips are metal, but that is just plastic. So yeah, easy ways to remember which way up it's going. Right is the right way up, and this is for the oil cooler down the bottom. Coolant, radiator even. Oil cooler, I'm not talking about. Right, so yeah, let's get it back in. Alright, so we've got it to this point here. Best way to do it was to turn the handlebars so that your wheel was facing full lock left. Get it in, slowly work it round. This bit here gets caught at the back here when you're trying to do it, so release that. I've moved the cables up out of the way, just bent them over the sides. The cable should retain its shape if you just bend it over. And I found the other retaining clip section there, which you can hopefully see. Yeah, so let's clip it in and get going. Before you leave the garage, always remember to take the key with you. Right, so I've got the front panel on the under tray section. Have a look quick. Hasn't gone swimmingly. I'm sure you can see that bolt up there, dead centre. See if I can point to it at the same time. Just here, the head snapped off of that. I've got these ones back in. I've got this one back in. Good thing I checked because these two were loose also. So these two are in. That is it. I've got the cables clipped into it, including that little block at the back. down the bottom, which was a clip on the cable as opposed to the cable clipping into a clip on the bodywork. So next I'm going to put this fascia plate on. That will wrap around. It's just sitting over there at the back. After that, I will probably get the indicator panels on, and then I'll focus on doing the bracket in the top section. So let's get this fascia plate on first. So fascia plate, got a couple of sections here for screws to go through. These are for bodywork clips. On the inside we have some guides here and here, if you can see that. And then we have a screw section there, screws up, and by the looks of it a couple of screw sections there that screw down. So 2 clips either side, clipping the bodywork. Remember, as I said earlier, just when you are taking it off, ease it off really gently, and bear in mind that that pops outwards either side. Get a little screwdriver down the edge here, little finger off of a glove on the end of it so you don't scratch any of the bodywork. It seemed to work pretty well. Okay, let's give it a go. Okay, putting the front panel on, there's a lot of screws, so let's just rack them up quick on here. So right hand side, you've got a screw here, you've got 2 screws here. I initially took this screw out underneath. I initially took this screw out, but you don't need to take that out because I think that separates the fake air inlets. It did nothing. To put it on, it slotted into no gaps, no holes, no nothing. As you can see under there, there's nothing there. So then up here, you've got 2 screws, 1 on 1. And then you have exactly the same the other side. 1 at the top, 2 there, and then underneath. No, sorry, that was it, I think. And then, sorry, and that's what I was going to say. And then you've got 2 push clips that go in either side, there and there. Just make sure as you slot it on, when you slot it on, that this bit catches onto that bit of bodywork paneling, because otherwise you won't get both of them lined up and clicked in. Yeah, okay, so next, get this front plate in. Let's have a look at that now. So relatively simple one. I've got a single screw hole at the top, 2 clips there and there, 2 latches that line up, and 3 guide pushes that go. We've got the 3 guide pushes here. We've got the 2 inserts for the clips, and then I believe that the top lines up with, if you can see it, that little bar there, and then that is the hole for the screw. So let's get it back on. Right, that panel is absolutely crap to get on. I ended up using some brake cleaner on all of the parts and then getting it on. There's 2 little clips either end here as well that you'll hear click in. These 3 rubber guides you won't hear click in. These 2 you'll hear click in eventually. These 2 at the top you don't hear click in. The only way to do it is to get the brake cleaner on it so that it will dissolve later, so that it will be lubed as it's going in. Hold it and just bash it. You've just got to bash it and hope that it doesn't. You'll know when it's lined up properly, because that will all be flush. Before then it was not flush at all, and these were still lifting, so they're the bits to check when you're putting it back. Okay, so next we've got this. A couple of these holes line up with a double screw through, like that for example. That's what I'm saying double screw for. That's all a clip-in panel, so ignore me on that one. Right, so don't forget your connection. Easy to tell which way around these go, because you've got a nice big L there for left. So on this we have grub screw. It's one of the push fits. I believe that is just a guide. One of these is just a guide, and then we've got a screw to go through there from the inside, like we said. and 1, 2, 3, 4 push fits all up there. So let's get that in and see what it looks like. I've got all the clips, I'm still not 100% about that, so I'm going to check that. But turns out that we put that screw in there too prematurely, so we've got to get that out quickly. Just to recap, that is your guide screw there. I believe that this is going to be our grub screw, but before we do that, let's just double check the other panel. No, that is probably more likely that. So let's wait and see once we got that panel on to see if it does it. So we've got 1 screw, 2 screw from the inside, and 3 screw once we take it back out because we put it in too early. Phrasing. So let's get that out. I'm going to double check whether or not this is right, but I feel like once that's clipped in there, that probably is right. It's probably clipped in, but either way I've got to get it off. So where is it? Let's get our trusty big flathead, and as discussed earlier, always use protection. I was doubling this up when I first started because I was a little worried whether the gloves would do that. So let's get a fresh one. When I was trying to persuade this in, I came up with this. So we'll steal a finger off of that glove. All right, let's give it a go. Okay, so that's back in. That was right. It's got a little bit of play in it, but that's fine. So 1, 2 from this side and 3 there. There are 3 screws in. All of these poppers are in 1, 2, 3 and 4, and that's it inside. It's got a little hairline gap here, but I think that is meant to be like that. So I was saying that it looks better like that, really, doesn't it? I'll have to check that out inside and see if I'm missing a trick there. But yeah, okay, cool. Let's do the other side off camera. Let's get this section here on, which will enable us to put that centerpiece in, and I still need to figure out where the hell that thing's going. Right, so side panel, got a screw at the top which is accessed from inside the glove box. I've got a screw here which is this one here, I believe. Sorry, that one there. And you've got a screw here which I believe is coming through from that hole. On top of that, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 clips this time. So let's see if we can find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One thing to note: side bodywork paneling. Just found a screw. Look, I don't appear to have put in, so I better go and check that on the other side as well. So I'm going to get that screw in first, and then we will, I'm assuming, again, persuade this back in. Okay, so that's the side panel all back in. Screw up here, screw down here, screw in there. All 9 clips in by the feel of things. So the next bit will be figuring out where the hell this goes. That might take a little more time. But yeah, so bike is pretty much back together now. Just got the bracket and the screen and everything to do, so I'm going to go and finish off the other side first before I can put that back in. Okay, so figured it out. This bit has 2 little clips at the back either side there that hook under. There's a little rubber mat that sits on top of the battery, so on the underside of this, and then these 2 wings here slot into these gaps. It looks very obvious now. It was not at the time. So I've had to rejig the electrics a little just to get everything to sit in. But yeah, so now we can put this cover plate back on, which is this plate here. So 2 latches at the bottom, which hopefully I'll get in with that block there. 2 push clips and 2 little latches on the side at the top to line up, and then 2 screws. That should be it. Hit a slight issue a second ago with screw count, but let's figure that out as we go. I mean, there's always spares, right? Okay, right, found where I missed it. So I grab a torch. One of those black bolts there, I don't know if you focus it. One of those black bolts there I've missed because I was trying to even it out because I sheared. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I can't see it from it. Oh, there we go. There's an angle. That bolt up the top there sheared off. So I'm one short, which I'll try and blag to BMW. Oh, I'll probably just be honest with them. And then the two bolts that I missed are these ones. Same over this side. Miss it in pairs, which is this trim here. Rushing the job and just forgot. Thank God for that. Didn't really want to ride it with two bolts missing.